All right. Let's see. What's this video? Old games are killing modern gaming. Interesting. Let's see what this is all about.
2023, 61% of gaming time was spent on games that are more than 6 years old. To make things worse, 5 games, most of which were released over a decade ago, altogether accounted for more playtime than every single game released in 2022 and 2023 combined.
Well, the difference is, right? The difference is with these games specifically, right? Minecraft, you can mod it. GTA, you have those kinds of servers, that the role-playing servers, right? League of Legends, we don't want to talk about League of Legends. we don't talk about League of Legends, okay? All right. Roblox, exactly the same thing, you know. There's a lot of like different like servers, different fan-made games and all this other stuff. And Fortnite, well, Fortnite exploded because they were the first VR game, and they have a very nice art style with their stuff, and they made a lot of collaborations too with big IPs under their belts. So like I said, right? It's just kind of like, you know,
Than every single game released in 2022 and 2023 combined.
Baldur's Gate did pretty good. Armor Core did pretty good. What else did pretty good on this list? Street Fighter did pretty well. Hogwarts Legacy did fucking fantastic besides the controversy. Resident Evil 4 did pretty decently well. I don't know how much Legend of Zelda did, but it probably sold pretty well, to be honest. Like, at the end of the day, right, this is a single player game. You play it like a couple times to get different endings, and that's pretty much it. This is where you play a fighting game, which is only like a few selected people, of course, that like, you know, continue playing it. Hogwarts Legacy is a pretty good fun game or so, but unfortunately the controversy kind of like ruined it because a lot of people were being little I don't know, little shitheads, I guess you can say. Baldur's Gate 3 was a pretty good game, but the problem is it kind of catered to a specific, you know, to a specific one. Yeah, that's why I didn't say Final Fantasy. Apparently, according to fucking Square Enix, Final Fantasy 16 didn't do well. According to them, but I think it did very well, but they want to have more money, you know. That's the problem. They want more money. That's the difference.
Not like this.
But wait! There's more!
Out of the 23% of time share left of total playtime with new games, nearly 2/3 of those new games are, surprise, surprise, annual releases of long-established titles. Yep, your Call of Duty, 2K, you know the rest. So if you're keeping a tally, that means truly new games make up just 8% of playtime. 92% of it is going to old games or annual games of old franchises. That's right, some of the biggest games to ever release in all of gaming, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, Hogwarts Legacy, and Starfield, only touched 3.5% of that 8% of gamers' time. Over 14,000 new games dropped in 2023 on Steam alone, and they were all fighting for just 4.5%. Let's just look at the hard facts. That 61% of playtime going to older games is no accident. These are games that have mastered the art of long-term player retention. They offer progression systems, social ecosystems, and constant content updates that keep players locked in. But what happens when every game is trying to do the same thing? Well, we get a market that's chasing its own tail. Developers, but most—
Whoa, what the fuck is she doing with whoa, what was it? What's this?
thing. Well, we get a market that's chasing its own tail.
Yo, what's this? Yo, where's Twitter at? We gotta tell Twitter about this situation here. Yo, man, what the hell's going on here? Yo, that's kind of sus, I ain't gonna lie, to be honest.
Developers, but mostly publishers, see the success of live service giants and want to replicate that.
Well, everyone wants to replicate it ever since the pop off or so of Fortnite, right? Everyone wants to be, you know, everyone wants the Fortnite piece of pie, you know. during the whole crazy and the boom of battle royale games, you know.
So every new game tries to follow the live service model, promising years of content, updates.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I am kind of tired of the live service like kind of game type of shit, right? That's why I don't play really that many live service games, right? Because I'm just kind of like, I really don't care, you know. Personally, I'm just kind of like, I just kind of want to play my multiplayer game or my single player game. That's it. So.
And engagement. But here's the catch. There's only a finite number of players and a limited amount of time that they can dedicate to games. It's a zero-sum game where someone's gain is someone else's loss. Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games, recently pointed out during Unreal Fest about how the gaming industry is undergoing what he calls a generational change, where even games with high budgets aren't selling as well as they used to.
And this is all happening in the context of a game business that's rapidly changing in a way that's we've only seen a few times in our lifetimes.
It's because all of you developers and all of you investors are putting your eggs all in one basket, you know. They also tried to copy Destiny, but turns out they failed too. Oh, really? They did? Oh, I didn't even know about that. But like, they're just kind of like, you know, they're kind of putting all their eggs in like one basket, thinking they're gonna make so much money in return. It's just like, that's why, in my personal opinion, the old times or so, right? There was like a lot of games that came out, right? But a lot of the old games like to experiment with like gameplay mechanics and like story and like shit like that, you know? That's why we had Vanquish, you know, back in the old times, right? Vanquish, everyone remembers that game. That was a really fun game, in my personal opinion. I thought you know, from Platinum Games, right? They're the ones who made Vanquish, right? I thought it was a pretty good game, you know, in my personal opinion. You got Beautiful Joe, you know, back in ye old times, had a really fucking amazing art style, in my personal opinion. It was really fun. I had a good time playing that game. But I don't really remember much about it, to be honest. But I do remember certain scenes and certain iconic things or so about Beautiful Joe. What else? What else in those old times that we played quite a lot? I don't know. There's just so many games specifically, you know. And even then, like the old games, right? They were challenging. Like they made the games like harder back then, right? So basically, because like some games were not as big as usual. Oh, what is it? Operation Sandstorm or something like that, or whatever it's called. Spec Ops The Line. There we go. That's the one. Spec Ops The Line was also a really good game too back then.
As game developers, it's a generational change, and one of the manifestations we're seeing right now is a lot of games are released with high budgets, and they're not selling nearly as well as expected.
Well, because they're expecting to think that they're gonna sell so fucking much, you know. That's what they think, but that's not how it's gonna work out. To be honest, that's just not how it is, you know. Like, it's like basically putting, like, you know, with the Conquer situation, right? Putting $200 million, but then you get nothing in return, and it looks like a shit product. And then you put another $200 million. They finish the game, but the product is fucking shit, you know? Like, honestly, at the end of the day, like, most of the products that came out or so are just bad in general. Suicide Squad, Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows is gonna be one of them too as well, you know? Fucking whatever other, you know, fucking Gollum or so. What is it? The Lord of the Rings game or so that came out? Gollum? You know, that game came out too as well. And then also, like, was it Helldivers was really good initially until Sony decided to do some stupid thing or so with Helldivers and kind of completely ruin Helldivers completely for a lot of people, and a lot of people around the world too. It's like Marvel and Disney TV/movies. They spend way too much money and expect too much. Yeah, they think they're going to get a shit ton of money in return, but it's just like, no, that's not how it works. Why do you think indie devs are the ones that are being more profitable compared to AAA games, you know?
Whereas other games are going incredibly strong. And what we're seeing, the real trend here is that players are gravitating towards the really big games where they can play with more of their friends.
In his words, the market is shifting, and that partially is due to players' gravitation towards fewer long-lasting games. Now, is Tim Sweeney correct? Well, yes. Fortnite, a live service game under his own umbrella, represented a massive shift towards titles that are less about upfront sales and more about long-term engagement. And while Sweeney's absolutely right that the landscape is changing, we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, but at the same time, right, this specific art style that Fortnite has like invented or so, super high color saturated, you know, wacky characters, wacky skins, amazing IPs, anime IPs, old retro IPs, you know, fucking whatever other IPs they brought into as well. It kind of like they're targeting like every like specific fan base to go in here, right? There's one specific IP that I would play or so if it ever came to Fortnite, but I will never play. I would not say what IP it is because I don't want them to know, and I do not want my IP to be in there. So not my IP, but my favorite IP to be in Fortnite. So and this kind of caters to like the younger audiences, the younger generation, the younger kids who grew up with Fortnite, you know, like, and you know, they're growing up now or so. They're probably still playing Fortnite. You know, probably some of them are still playing Fortnite now, and they're just having a blast or so. You know, they're enjoying it. You know, like for me specifically, you know, I grew up with old Call of Duty, and I still love the older Call of Duties because I thought they were just way funner. You know, because it's simple. It was fun. It was catered to funness.
Is this the right path forward? Sweeney believes that this is the natural evolution of gaming. And sure, from a business perspective, that makes sense. We've got games as platforms now, not just products, and developers are moving towards models that promise long-term profitability. Now, Sweeney's definitely right about one thing. We are in the middle of a generational shift.
Yes.
But whether that shift leads to better, more innovative games, or just a handful of big live service platforms monopolizing.
It's just gonna be a lot of live service platforms, to be honest. Getting a lot of collabs is a way of getting a long-term activity. That's definitely true because you're gonna bring in a new source of audiences from that specific subgroup, you know? Like the My Hero Academia, right? You're gonna bring in the My Hero Academia fan base and be like, oh, they're having a collaboration with Fortnite? Oh, I kind of want to check it out to see what it is. Or like, or the DC or the Marvel or whatever other, the Jujutsu Kaisen collaboration, the Dragon Ball collaboration, right? And at the same time, right, the specific art style that they have fits so well, and they can like, because they brought in like other like characters, right, like Rick and Morty and all that other stuff, right? It fits really well with this specific art style. Now, if we're talking about Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty had a collaboration back, was it World War or so, whatever the fuck that Call of Duty game was, right? They had the Attack on Titan collaboration, and it just wasn't that great, in my personal opinion. So it was pretty shit.
The market is still relatively up for debate. So for much of the outcry of gamers saying that they are sick and tired of live service games, the data doesn't seem to back that up. So much like myself, you're probably all wondering,
it's such a minute group or so that doesn't like live service games, like compared to like how big fucking Fortnite is, how big Call of Duty Warzone is, and how big, you know, Overwatch and everything like that, right? Because my friend Exo plays Overwatch. She just doesn't like all this, most of the stuff that's happening with Overwatch, but she still enjoys and playing it, you know, because the core mechanic is just good, you know, and the gameplay loop, you know. Me and a friend got back into Fortnite just to get the Dragon Ball skins, really.
why are gamers frauds? Ryan Rigney is the marketing director over at Odyssey Studio and also led comms for big live service games Apex Legends, League of Legends, and PUBG. In a blog post that inspired this video, The Gamers Are Locked In, he does a very good job explaining why players are sticking to these older games. It's not just about the gameplay, it's about the social and emotional investment. Players aren't just playing Destiny 2 or Valorant just because they love shooting stuff. They're playing because their friends are there. They've spent money on skins, they've reached skilled heights in ranked, and they've put in hundreds of hours of progress.
I put fucking thousands of hours in fucking Smite, but I fucking quit a long ass time ago, and you don't see me going back to it every single day, you know? I went back to, you know, I fucking played Call of Duty too. What other game I put a lot of money into? No, it was actually Smite. Smite was literally the only one I put like thousands of dollars, not like thousands though, but like accumulation or so of thousands of dollars, because I bought skins from Smite because I enjoyed Smite back then, right? This was back then when Smite was simpler. Now I don't know how Smite is now because I haven't played it in a long time, right? But I'm probably pretty shit at it now. But like I even got offered to be on a team like 2 times Like I literally got offered to be on a team for Smite on the console edition because it came out on console, and I was like, oh, Smite on console? Damn, I haven't heard of Smite in a while or so because I played Smite on PC, and it came out on console, and I completely, you know, of course, because my knowledge or so of Smite in the past, you know, I completely destroyed all the console kids. It was pretty easy though, but it took a while or so getting used to the controls and everything on a controller and everything, and I did actually rank it. I did actually go and rank or so a little bit, and I did also, like, I was pretty well known in the community, and at least for like the Smite, you know, the Smite community, because I know a lot of people knew about me because how good I was, because I played a lot of Conquest, and then yeah, that's pretty much about it. So
They are, I can't believe
like I said, I got
this about League
offered.
of Legends, their comfy game. But out of all
Tell that to 2K's NBA people. They are enslaved to that game. Lord, please forgive them. I've never played a 2K game ever in my entire life. Like, honestly, like, Smite is the only game. I came back to it when the V Shoujo collaboration came back. Well, not came back, but when the V Shoujo collaboration came back, I played Smite just for the V Shoujo collab. And then I stopped afterwards, you know, and it's just kind of like, it's just whatever, you know. I don't think there was, I didn't bought any skins or so in Call of Duty. I pre-ordered, like, I got, like, pre-order bonuses or so for certain skins. But I've never bought any skins, at least through COD. I'm trying to remember. No. I think the only thing I spend money now these days is just my gacha games. But I just only spend, like, $25, like, a month or so. And that's pretty much it, you know.
all these reasons, skill is probably the biggest reason for this. And
that's usually always my limit is $25 or so, right? Because, like, you know, the battle pass and the daily login or so, that's basically is what I spend.
I've personally witnessed this within my own friend group, where the ties that bind some of
I don't
them to
play
other
this
games
fucking
make it difficult
Valorant
for
shit.
them
This
to adapt to new ones.
Valorant, it doesn't interest me in my personal opinion. I'd rather play CS:GO, and even then, on top of that, I find these specific games so boring, to be honest. I find them so boring.
Lending them to quit them and go back to what they're comfortable with. Let's be honest, no one likes to pick up a brand new game and suck at it for a few months on end and spend even more time watching educational content to learn how to get better at it, especially when there's already a game out there that they're already good at. There's also the sunk cost fallacy, that if you've invested so much time and money into a game, it becomes really hard to walk away from that.
I invested a lot of time in Smite, and I played it again after a few months and a few years. I also met a wonderful person too, as well, who's a VTuber friend of mine. And I thought he was a pretty good person. I got the chance to play with him, of course, in Smite, which was really great. Which his name is Himeros. Himeros is a fun person to interact with a small interaction that I had with Himeros. The problem is just I just been busy or so. That's the only thing. So he's a pretty good person in Smite. For me personally, it's just like I walked away from Smite. I even walked away from Call of Duty. I hardly play Call of Duty every single day, you know? Like, I want to play a first-person shooter game because I miss playing FPS games. But the problem is all the FPS games just fucking suck at the very moment. You know, they're not great. Like, they're okay. But, you know, it's just kind of like, it just doesn't hit right. Like the older Call of Duties. You know, it just doesn't whatsoever, you know? When you play the old Call of Duties, man, dude, does that hit so good sometimes, you know? And, Kingdom Hearts too. I like the JRPG games that at least like some of the JRPG games that I played, you know? I don't know. In my personal opinion, it's just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I can walk away from a game if I've spent money in it, you know? Like, honestly, like I can, like, one day I'll probably show my, like, all my skins or so on PlayStation 4 of Smite, and I'll show you guys, like, how much fucking money I've spent on this thing.
All that effort. You're just gonna toss it away?
That's the sunk cost fallacy.
And that's really a hard sell for most players. It's not that new games aren't fun, it's that they require a level of commitment that players have already given to something else. And this is really why new games nowadays are struggling. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, it just simply isn't enough just to be a good game anymore. You have to offer something that players can't get anywhere else, and even then, you're asking them to abandon years of progress in another game to start fresh. This is the vicious cycle that we're seeing. There's only so many hours in a day, and players can't invest in more than a handful of these time-consuming games.
Of course.
When every new game tries to be a live service game, there is no room for all of them to survive.
Yep.
Executives keep chasing after a piece of that live service pie,
Yep.
but the truth is the pie isn't getting bigger. It's just getting sliced thinner and thinner.
Yep.
And you know what? I'll let you in on a little secret. There was a moment where executives thought that the pie was in fact getting bigger. Do you remember when that was? It was during the pandemic.
Yep.
And we all
Yep. He is 100% correct.
know what that mistake has costed us and is still costing us to this day.
Oh, yeah.
That's not only why we're seeing
It's gonna definitely take probably a couple years or so for it to adjust back to the way it was. Because remember, when it was during the pandemic or so, right? During COVID, right? Everyone was stuck indoors and everyone was just had a lot of spending time and lots of money or so. And then a lot of people just spend their money or so with like stuff for gaming, you know? That's why a lot of like even like some stuff for like trackers and all that other stuff like kind of like went up in price or so for certain things, you know. I spent a lot of Warframe and stopped playing the game. I realized I'm different. I'm a different type of player compared with a majority. Yeah, and the same thing as well. Like I can stop playing a game if I spend so much money in it, you know. Like if I don't find it very appealing or very interesting, I just kind of like just stop playing it. Like it just kind of happens slowly, you know. I just kind of like, I kind of don't want to play it, you know. That's why sometimes I don't log into my gacha games. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, I'm not gonna log into it. It's kind of like whatever, you know. So it's not a big deal, you know.
games launch and die within months, but also why we're seeing games that have been revealed and some that have been unseen die quietly through the night. Sega, I believe last year, canceled Project Hyenas, who remembers that game, acknowledging that they couldn't sustain the resources required to maintain a live service game after launch. And they're
What the fuck is this game? What the hell is this? I've never heard of this game ever.
not the only ones. Naughty Dog also halted its multiplayer of The Last of Us spinoff for similar reasons. This current trend is unsustainable, and only the strongest, most established games are surviving.
Even then, at the same time, didn't they say specifically that like they do not have the manpower or the resources or so to do the multiplayer game? I think if I remember correctly, that's what I've heard too. They don't have enough manpower because they'd rather focus on the actual single player game because they won't have enough time or so for the single player game in order for them to refine and make the multiplayer really good. I think if I remember correctly, I heard something like that or so. I don't know. I could be wrong. Like, but I remember watching a video specifically about it.
But what if I told you there was still a way to get a piece of that claimed pie? And just because many players are stuck to their current games doesn't mean that they are a lost cause. Recently, I've been putting a lot of time into Valve's latest project, Deadlock. It's a third-person shooter meets MOBA hybrid, and it's a game that takes its DNA design from Dota 2, the lovable characterization of Team Fortress 2, and combines it with the popular third-person shooter perspective that has been tested before via Smite and Paragon.
Yeah.
That was also a game made by Epic Games. Small world.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised we haven't gotten more third-person MOBA games, to be honest. Oh my god, dude. Like when I swapped over from I didn't play too much though, but I played Dota. I played Dota, right? But I only played it for a little bit, but I wasn't really a whole fan of like the top perspective point of view. And then when I started playing Smite back then, like ye old times or so, right? I was like, oh my god, dude, I was just like, oh, this feels so great to play Smite or so in third person. And then when I picked it back up on console and I played it like super heavily invested or so, right? I was like, oh my god, this feels so great. Like the third person like MOBA, it just feels way better, to be honest.
World. See, Deadlock takes
I don't play
what's already
Dota anymore,
established,
so.
introduces a new genre combination with the backing of the reputation of Valve, which nowadays plays a huge role for brand new games, especially when you're competing against brand new live service games from
The service still available for Deadlock by any chance? I don't even know.
unknown studios. However, this could be seen as a form of cannibalization within Valve's already established player base, as the Dota 2 player count seemed to be dancing with deadlocks a little bit. Not only that, but there's also Fortnite, which took the explosive popularity of PUBG years ago and added their own combination of Minecraft-like building mechanics, and even Apex Legends and Call of Duty came in and took their own formulas and fused them together. This tells us something important. Regardless of what you may hear,
I liked Apex at the beginning when I played it, but then later on I just didn't like it afterwards. So I kind of just stopped playing it.
players screech about a new live service game.
I think you still play Deadlock?
Overall,
Okay.
Players are not sick of these types of games, as long as they are still familiar to another.
I'm tired of these games. I'm just tired of the BR genre. That's it. You know, I'm tired of it.
Other game that they've had a connection to in the past. Or, like myself, they've been preying on the downfall of another live service game that they've been playing due to the neglect from its developers. These games all came for PUBG's pie, yet PUBG is still alive and kicking, while each of them have helped establish the current market of that genre. The truth is, gaming isn't fighting a war against.
Yeah, PUBG is pretty strong or so in the, like, what, Eastern Asian territory or so because of the mobile version. There's, like, I've seen a lot of, like, Asian girls or so that, like, play PUBG quite a lot or so. Like, I've seen it. Like, they'll sometimes pop up on my feed or so on, like, on YouTube and everything, like, from time to time, right? And sometimes I'll see it on Twitch and everything, or like from a clip or some random clip or something like that. And it's usually a lot of Asian people that play PUBG. It's very popular over there.
It's fighting a war of attention. The same reason you can waste away hours on TikTok is the formula that gaming has been fighting to replicate with each passing game release.
Yeah, but I don't care about TikTok, to be honest. I'm gonna be frankly honest with you. I don't care about TikTok.
So what does that mean for the future of game development? Rigney's "Are Old Games Killing New Games" article argues that the rise of live service games could stifle innovation, and I completely agree.
Yeah.
If developers are too focused on creating long-term engagement and content updates, they might shy away from taking creative risks. You can look no further than recent.
It's gonna be super stale because it's just gonna be the same. You know, it's literally going to be the same thing. It's like, oh, it's another BR game. Oh, it's another hero shooter. Oh, it's another gacha game that is an anime that's a really high quality anime game, you know? Oh, it's a fucking, you know, I don't know, it's a platformer game, you know? But like it's only on the mobile phone, you know? It's just gonna be, you know, it's just kind of like, because like honestly it's just like BR is just the only thing that I can think of mostly, because it's like, oh, it's another one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, we even played like what? We played what's the name? Fate Trick or so, and I was just like, ugh. Another BR game. I would love this formula, but as a multiplayer game, you know? But it is what it is. They decided to want to make that. That's their thing or so, right? Same thing with, like, I enjoyed not Fate Trigger, Strinova. Like, I enjoyed Strinova, right? But I'm just kind of like, there's not really a lot of game modes, you know, on top of that, which would have been so nice to have more game modes on it, you know? And that's pretty much frankly about it, you know. Like some of the concepts or so for some of the things, like the groundworks or so is really great, but then like unfortunately they're chasing the trends or so because that's where the money is at, you know, which kind of sucks at the end of the day, right? I can't do anything about it, you know, but that's why I don't really play them that much, you know. I just kind of like play my own games, you know. I'll just play games that I'm mostly interested in personally. So
Spawn and Apex Legends for evidence of this. And I think in the long run, this could really hurt the gaming industry. We'll see fewer single-player narrative-driven.
Wait, can I see?
This
Game Studio Hi-Rez, the developers of Smite 2, announced layoffs too. We haven't seen a single week over a year without a game studio either closing down or doing layoffs. It's because they hired way too many people because during the pandemic or during the pandemic situation, right, a lot of people were buying shit. Like there was a lot of increase of profit or so, right? So all they did basically was like invested on a lot of studios, more workers to make these games faster, to release them, to try to catch that money goldness during that time. And then, well, you know, the pandemic finished or so, right? Everyone went back to normal. And well, Lord of behold, you know, they have so many people in their work staff, you know, but they can't make all these games, so they have to lay them off. And then, well, Lord of behold, there you go. That's pretty much it. Or if, you know, Or if a game doesn't sell very well, there goes the studio. The studio gets closed down.
Could really hurt the
You know?
gaming industry.
It's just
We'll
just
see
how it
fewer
is, you know?
single-player narrative-driven games and more titles that are designed as platforms to keep you playing forever. Now, this isn't hyperbole or me trying to rage bait you. Publishers like Sony are significantly increasing their investments in live service games. Sony, known for its dedication to single-player experiences, plans for live service content to account for 60% of its internal investments by 2025.
Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, so far Concord has failed. Concord left a $400 million hole in their wallet, you know?
Up from just 12% in 2019. Hogwarts Legacy made a big splash at launch. In fact, it was the biggest selling game of 2023.
Oh yeah.
64% of its users were acquired in the first month, showing how front-loaded single-player games can be.
I still need to finish this game, but I have mods on and I want to download more mods for this game. I still have it, so.
In contrast, live service games keep players engaged and spending over extended periods of time. Warner Bros. And major publishers are moving more aggressively towards live service games.
Yeah, but Suicide Squad definitely fucking failed miserably, to be honest. They barely have like 200 players now. How many players do you have now, huh? Let me see. Let's show up the numbers real quick. What does the chart say about this? What the numbers say? What the numbers say, Mason? What the numbers say? Ooh. Ooh, only 77 people. Ooh. Oh, it did it. Oh. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's definitely working out very well for Warner Brothers, you know? Definitely working out pretty fucking well over there, you know? Ugh.
Viewing them as more financially sustainable compared to the one in
I don't know about the Suicide Squad when it's sustainable, in my personal opinion. I don't know about that one, in my personal opinion.
done nature of many single-player games, even at the cost of the reputation of its biggest IPs. Just this year alone, some of the biggest single-player heavyweights are failing to meet sales expectations, from Final Fantasy 16 to Star Wars Outlaws. This is
the reason why Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth or so failed miserably is because it was only available on the PlayStation or so. Like, even the DLC is only available on the PlayStation first. Why do you think Square Enix decided to leave or so at the same time, right? Like the problem is, right, with Final Fantasy 16, right? The game came out like what? Like a year ago or so, right? Last year, I think, if I remember correctly, right? We had to wait 1 full year for this game to come out on PC. And the problem is like it's already been played at, right? Like, people already played it. They're kind of like, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, you know, the game's already been out. It's already been spoiled. The story's out there. All the music is out there. It's just kind of like, it kind of loses its charm or so compared to a game when it's released or so on multiple platforms on the first day, you know? There's a big difference with that one. I think that's one of the biggest reasons too. And then also probably you want to know what the other big reason too as well. I know that this is just part of like the whole like woke side of things, right? It's because it's probably the gay scene or so in Final Fantasy 16. That's probably one of the key factors or so that probably turned off a lot of people. Be like, it's woke, you know. Like I said, I can't tell because I haven't played the game yet, but I do want to play the game though.
Why when a game, for example, like Space Marines 2 drops and people cry out about how modern gaming is missing this type of game, it has less to do with silly discourse of what a CEO said and more about a simple truth. Somebody in the year of our Lord 2024 made a AAA single-player experience with a campaign, co-op, and multiplayer PvP day one as a complete package.
Yeah, and also on top of that too as well, right? They weren't aiming to become like the biggest, like a AAA, like a AA or like a AAA, like amazingness, right? They were just kind of working, like they weren't working as getting like an A tier game, you know? No, they were trying to become a B tier game because remember, back in the old times, right? There was like a lot of games and a lot of people experimented with game mechanics, game stories, and like just different random shit back in the old days, you know? The woke mob, yeah, it's the woke mob that's just, that probably plays a factor. So with the Final Fantasy 16, so I would not be surprised at the end of the day if that also plays a pivotal role with that too as well. But like, yeah, in the old times or so, we had a lot of games in like older generations, right? But they were fully complete. But some of them were good and some of them were bad, right? Because a lot of people were experimenting different, mechanics and everything like that. And that's, that's the same thing with like, that's why you have your B tier games, you have your A tier games, and you have your F tier games, They're also not trying to make the esports multiplayer. That's also true at the same time. Most of these recent like live service games, like most of them, right? They kind of cater to like the sweaty tryhards and making it like esports first and then casual friendly later, for funds and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I don't really like that personally. That type of mentality is a really bad mentality too. I've always hated it personally. I've always want to focus on the fun aspect. And then if it wants to become an esports, just let it naturally happen, be an esports. But I think I'd rather, if I'm going to make games or so, right, I'd rather focus on games being fun. I want to make like different genres of games. I want to make platformers. I want to make Metrovania games. I want to make, maybe I'll make a fun Souls-like game, who knows, maybe I want to make some JRPG games, like I would just make like different types of genres of games and experiment with like gameplay mechanics and stuff like that to see what works, what doesn't work, where's the good feedback, where's the bad feedback, and everything, like I said, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, like I said, I'm not a developer or anything like that, but I would like to experiment on stuff for like people to try out in the future, right? And then I would probably go through the comment sections on Steam, right? Take a look at it and read it and be like, okay, so this is what failed, this isn't working, this is the weak part, this is a weak spot, this is a more stronger part, and I'll take all the criticism and the feedback and everything and then make the second game better, It's just kind of like,
and it never overstayed its welcome. In the end, the gaming industry has found itself caught in potentially a self-destructive cycle. Older live service games are now dominating players' times, leaving little room for new games to thrive. Executives are chasing a model that only few games can succeed in, while the rest struggle to fail. So you might be wondering, what's the answer? Or perhaps are we too far gone? Maybe we need to see a return to games that are complete experiences and not just platforms designed for infinite engagement. Maybe we need to rethink what success looks like in the gaming world instead of pointing at the ups and downs of a game's player count graph. Because if we don't, the cycle will continue, and we'll keep seeing new games fall flat because players are already too invested in the old ones. And that's not a future I want to see for gaming. Ball up top.
yeah. Yeah, he's like at the end of the day, right? He's not wrong. There's a lot of points that I agree with this specific thing. Like it is definitely a cycle where we've just been getting a lot of live service games, right? And there's not really been any like innovation in gaming or so, right? With that specific situation, right? Like it's fine if you want to make a live service game, but at least be innovative compared to others, compared to other ones. Like I miss co-op games, like I want some good co-op games or like 4-player games, I know like there's that one game or so, that zombie game that's coming out, where you can have like 8 players or so on the field or so, and it's like permadeath and everything. That's something like that is really nice and refreshing to like, to have in this kind of space and everything like that, compared to like everything being a live service. You got Skull and Bones being a live service. You got fucking Suicide Squad being a live service. You got fucking what is it? Fucking Helldivers, because it's also part of the live service ecosystem. So it's just, I don't know what other live service I can think of off the top of my head right now, but oh, back in no, I'm not gonna call it. Well, actually, technically Diablo is, because their DLC has just barely come out or so. But like I said, right, the only one that gets like actual actual respect from me when it comes to live service games, right, that has done very well up to today, since it's like initial like talk about and it's like released, not it's released though, but it's like talking about like its development time and its development window is Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2 has been like one of the games that like I know for a fact like it's a good game. I don't think I'm gonna play it personally because I don't think I'm a very smart person indeed for these kinds of games, right? And Path of Exile 2 has been showing like they care about their audiences and they make live service games, but they make really good high quality live service games and they respect the players, you know, at the end of the day. And they're making a second game and they've shown like what they're basically changing, what they're doing, what they're adding, new bosses, new mechanics, new classes, new skill trees, new fucking you fucking name it, dude. Like there's just a lot of shit that's just been positive about Path of Exile 2 compared to everyone else, where it's just kind of like, you know, you got Helldivers 2, right? It was really good initially and then Sony decided to fuck them over and then completely fucked everybody in the countries that are not allowed to play. And then, well, it got a negative review on some, like, it got bombarded or so on Steam. And, well, Lord and behold, it is what it is, right? So, yeah, fun co-op games is a nice, refreshing. Like, even like Black Myth Wukong that I just recently finished or so. It was such an enjoyable game, you know? Like, I actually quite enjoyed that game specifically, you know? Like, even Armor Core. Armor Core was a great game, and I enjoyed playing that game. That game was so fucking fun, you know? You needed to agree to map out Path of Exile skill tree? You do? Damn. I think that's probably the reasons why not a lot of new players would go into it, you know? Because you kind of have, like, you gotta have, like, guides and stuff like that to make it good, you know? So. But yeah, nonetheless, though, it was a great video. That was actually a really good video, so... I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I'll be surprised to see, I feel like it's gonna take a while or so for the gaming industry to readjust back to the way it was, because, you know, the pandemic completely, like, messed up everything, right? Because a lot of people stayed indoors, people spend a lot of money or so with video games and all this other shit, you know? So then they increased their you know, their developer size and the teams and the, and you know, whatever other shenanigans, right? And they started making games. That's why you hear a lot of games getting canceled, or delayed or anything like that in that situation. There's just a lot of games that just get like that in that treatment or so. Even like there's been some games or so that has literally been basically finished, and then they just pull the plug on it and just completely cancel it. So there has been games like that in the past, because I've seen YouTube videos talking about it, and they've completely canceled it. It's just kind of like, fuck it, you know. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, what a great video. That was a good video. I enjoyed that video. Like I said, Ethos is a pretty good person, you know. I always enjoy listening to Ethos because he's a pretty logical person when it comes to certain things and stuff like that. So, like I said, I don't hate anything, but yeah, and that's it. That's the end of the video anyways. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff, and tell me what you guys think about this situation, you know. I'm kind of interested to see what people in the comment sections talk about this. I haven't checked my comment sections the last time or so, just because I just been busy most of the time, so I'm just kind of focusing on my art classes and everything, you know. Trying to learn that new art style, you know. I'll even prove it to you on this video right now. I'll prove it to you right now. Take a look at this. This is what I've been learning or so. This is for all the people or so in on my YouTube side. Oh, not that. You move this over. And let's pop this out. Cha-cha! There you go. See, this is basically what I've been doing or so. I've been taking art classes or so, from a famous Korean artist. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to share, and that's the end of the video. And yeah, looks like old games are back in it again. So, anyways, yeah, and peace.